This is Astrid Piber from UNStudio, from Rotterdam. Is that
Amsterdam.
right? Amsterdam. No, Rotterdam later. Later it will be Dam and Partners from
Also
Holland. Is Astrid Piber in the room?
Yeah, she's here.
Oh, it's you. Hello. We met yesterday. Thank you. We have everything. The presentation I might see there later. We are talking of FOUR Frankfurt. Frankfurt is also called Manhattan. The floor is yours. 15 minutes, please, so that
Okay.
to recuperate.
I knew it's very difficult to be the first one after lunch, but I hope there will be some more people listening. Can I maybe take this one and
Yes.
stand up?
This, oh yes, yes.
No, I'm sorry, I like to move around while talking, and if I have to sit, this is a bit more difficult, and maybe I can engage more people. So today, it's tall buildings, but I actually want to talk about urban life. So that's why I called the lecture Tall Buildings and Urban Life. And I was very happy to hear this morning, actually in all the round tables, that everyone is talking about urban life. Like the tall building is just a reason to come together, but what we all and all the projects have behind is to create better cities. And I'm talking about our project FOUR Frankfurt. And Manhattan was called Manhattan because it was the first German city that had high-rises after the Second World War. And now we are half a century later. And the projects I'm going to talk about for the urban life, it's also about regeneration, a high-rise city, a city of tall buildings. How do you add density to those high buildings? But first, a little bit about UNS. We are UNS. We have developed from UNStudio network to UNStudio, and now we decided to have a three-letter syncronym, UNS, United Network Studio. I'm with the company since 1998. When I came, we were 45 people, and now we are 450. Which is amazing, because the amazing thing about the team that we have built is that it's a multicultural, diverse team from, I think, 45 different countries, but with a very mixed ethnicity in our team, and with the drive to do good design and to think differently and put innovation to the front. And to say that is easy, and to say you have this network of collective intelligence. Actually, we worked on that since 1998. We have these knowledge communities, centers of expertise. We put this innovation and how you collaborate in a global model really as something important, and it's yes, internal knowledge sharing, but our network taps into the local networks of our partners. And we have currently offices in 8 locations. I myself have also set up our Asian branch in Shanghai in 2010, but I'm based in Amsterdam, and I'm now a member of the global management team, actually overseeing this collective intelligence and how we can do design better. And I think what distinguishes us on thinking differently is that we sometimes see a solution where others see a problem. So basically we like to see, I don't know what's going on with the slides today, but we like to see what others miss in a different light. And to mention that on some of our projects, before I dive into the Frankfurt project, is that we, for example, when we did the Mercedes-Benz Museum in Stuttgart, we saw that it could be more than a showroom for cars. It could be a museum where you go up in the central atrium with special designed elevators, and you walk down in a double helix, and discover the car collection, and you discover the history of the automobile, and at the same time you discover the history of Germany. So with this experience, bringing also bare concrete into the space, it became a museum that attracts a lot of people still today, and we like this typological approach, that it's more than just a showroom, that we created a space that brings people together and tells the story. Bringing people together, this is also something we learned from our mobility projects. Like this is the transfer hall in Arnhem. That was actually the project that brought me from Austria to the Netherlands to work there. I was very happy to see it yesterday from the airplane, really crisp as a clear focus point, because it was always anticipated as the new center of that province, but also as something that connects the city of Arnhem, because it was very much divided by the train, and with the high-speed train going to the Netherlands, it would even be more disconnected. So we did instead make it the heart, like connecting offices, connecting residential, hotel, cinemas, all public functions with the mobility hub, and making thus the city better accessible from the region, but also for the people within Arnhem. Last year opened the Booking.com headquarter in Amsterdam, and there we like to think about the idea, okay, it's an office, it's a headquarter, but what brings people and talented people to work for Booking.com is not a standard headquarter. We experience it more as a resort, like as something where facilities like table tennis, climbing, food, lots of restaurants really bring the people together. There are 4,000 people working there, but now, or it's planned for 4,000 in the first instance. Now there are even more, because what happened is that all the restaurants, all the cafes turned into working spaces as well, in informal working spaces that people like for the creative exchange with their colleagues. And do not forget living, because that's very important in our cities. This is a project in Munich that was also completed 2 years ago, where it's small modular units, where we also developed this furniture system that you can transform your small apartment into a bigger one. So like for inner city living and densification in the cities. And this approach to really see a solution where others see a challenge it's not something new, it's something we have always done, because even with the Erasmus Bridge, that was a connection between the north and the south across the River Maas, and actually at that time on the south there was nothing. So it was merely an infrastructure connection, but we always envisioned it as something that would drive the growth of the city. So a lot of the residential neighborhoods got developed, and it became an important part of the growth and the success of Rotterdam. But then not enough. I think what we like most about the bridge is that it became an icon for people, like people that are not interested in architecture like you and me, but that identify with the city. So this sailor, the offshore sailor that has his hometown through the bridge on his back. And this sort of big picture that we describe with the bridge is something that we aspire to on behalf of our clients. So when thinking of tall buildings, it has to be more than a tall building, and it has to actually create urban life. And they have to integrate with the city. And I wanted to call my lecture actually 1, 2, 3, 4 and more, because I think UNStudio, we have started with singular towers in Singapore, in London, in Brazil. And what we learned from the singular towers is that how you connect them to the context on ground floor, on the lower levels in the podium, is actually essential for the success of these towers. And there's always the story that there are vertical neighborhoods. You can make vertical living, either it's stacked or you have even office use, residential use, or hotel and residential. You can create communities vertically, but the success of urban integration has to do with the habitat around. So we went, and at the moment we are designing several 2-tower schemes or 3-tower schemes, and actually 6-tower schemes, where it becomes much more a city. And the project on the right, Raffles City Hangzhou, is a project that's very deep in my heart, because it was our first project in Asia where we could explore this idea, the city within the city. So you have 2 towers with different uses, but also a podium, a 10-story podium that connects these two, but also connects to the subway and connects to all parts of the city. But within that block of 150 by 100 meter, you have everything. So you wouldn't need to leave it. You are supplied with everything. So the self-sufficient development. Of course, we like to know and explore always other parts of cities, so it's not meant to be like an enclosed system, but I think it shows how you should think about a mixed-use project. And if we look at Manhattan, all the towers that were built in the 50s and 60s were monofunctional towers mostly. And we got the chance through actually 2 competitions, first the urban one and then an architectural one, like the first one in 2015, then in 2017, to propose a project that's called FOUR and basically has 4 towers. And the motto from the beginning was Lebe die Stadt, vivere la città, you would say, I think, in Italian. So it was from the beginning this idea and the learning from China, basically, how can you arrange the program in a way that you can create a new center of the city, add something to the city that hasn't been there before, and create more life, like not a monofunctional office and it's part of a downtown, but really creating this mix also with residential hotels and infrastructure for example, there's a Kindertagesstätte, it's a children's kindergarten.
Yes.
Kindergarten. And a large food court that is there and becoming that icon for Frankfurt. And why was that important in the concept? It's actually that before World War II, the site was public. There was a street going through, you see all these pictures, but then it got destroyed, and after World War II, it became the Deutsche Bank, one of the first high-rises, but the site was basically for 45 years not accessible for the public anymore. And so one of the key urban design criteria was, let's open up this triangular site. So this is the former building. You see, it's really, although it was one of the first buildings there, together with the old Commerzbank, all the new buildings, like the new Commerzbank, they were all bigger and were overshadowing that one. And unfortunately, the condition of the building was also not very good to keep it, so the decision was already taken in 2012 or 13 to take it down and create this new center. And for us, going back to the urban part, it's really this idea of the windmill, like having 4 different districts of the city, like the CBD, the Bahnhofsviertel, the Altstadt, and the Innenstadt, and they can merge on that side. And it's easy to draw in such a diagram. It's less easy, of course, to do it, because what in the conditions for the competition was already there was that one of the existing buildings on the Junghausstraße could be opened up for that, and that was very important. Yes, it was a protected building, we kept the facades, and but they allowed us to open it up on 2 spots to create basically different access moments for people entering the site. So these are the diagrams. So here you see then how we were able to connect the pedestrian movement, but also the deliveries really into the site from all the different sides of the project. and really have a public space in the center, which makes you really perceive also the different directions. So it acts as a plaza where you can follow intuitive wayfinding, because you see in which direction you have to walk. And it brings green into the site, but also up to the podium level. The podium is 6 stories high. And the most important thing about that space is accessibility, actually, that it's accessible for all, that it's safe at nighttime, that you have the visual connectivity, and that you create a truly inclusive urban approach for this location. So basically opening up what was closed before and creating this uplifting experience when looking up the tower. There's so much to tell because it's a huge project, above ground 220,000 square meters, with 2 towers that are devoted to office, the tallest and the shortest, and the tower 3 and 2, they are for residential, different types of residential. Also there's a Kimpton hotel and the Hyatt house. But the important thing is it was developed from the urban planning rules as one project. The towers were then sold to different owners. There are, I think, more than 20 investors involved in that project, but the whole development was inclusive. Also the whole 4-level basement car park is a shared element and not split it in different blocks. And building that basement lasted 2 years, because in February 2020 it was basically reaching the ground. And then it went quite quick, because the towers are built in a modular element system. So 2023, they all reached the top already, and then the facade cladding started. And this was last year. Basically the tenants moved in, especially in the office tower already, the office lobby. And this idea of mixed use is not something very common in Germany. So it's really a project that probably could only be done at that dense spot in the dense city. But we believe also that if we have already big cities that are connected very well in terms of mobility, this is where you need to densify maybe more and be very conscious about the mix. And the team that worked on this project for nearly 10 years is also very diverse. And we worked with the open BIM. And I will go quickly because I see that I should. There's a lot to tell about the modular approach, also how things were done off-site, brought to the site, because it's a tight site. You need to work more sustainable and more efficient.
These are architects who know well technology.
Yeah, actually this one is also where you really see that not just the base construction, but all the equipment was based on the modularity, allowing quite a logistic system to bring to the site, all the bathrooms for the hotel, everything prefab and added, and even a nomenclatura for the facade banners in elements lifted into the location to speed up the process. So there's lots of design behind to allow for that. And then the big difference is in the skyline. And what's important to say about the skyline is that it was a conscious choice to have towers of different height. The tallest is 237 meters tall, and the shortest really links to the Blockrandbebauung that is next to it. So the project is really on this intersection between the high-rise city and just some construction pictures of the roof and the skyline, because also towards the rest of Frankfurt, it's a signifying element where from every position in Frankfurt, you basically can see your house, but you also can see, because of the arrangement of the 4 towers, in what direction you are walking. So it's an urban wayfinding integrated in the high-rise city of Frankfurt, and then including the existing building next to the Commerzbank, looking up. So it's for the people, but today I showed a little bit about the making behind, which is also done by people, for a city for all. Thank you.